I was there in Warsaw on Tuesday night to see Shakhtar give, and this is sometimes an overused epithet, a heroic performance, a genuinely heroic performance. Lassina Traore, one of the few overseas players who's still there, he said to me afterwards, he said, look, I can't lie, it was a really awful day yesterday.
Andy, I'll tell you what, this Shakhtar story, it gets more and more incredible when you think about Donetsk having to leave their home country, let alone, just the city, and going on in the Champions League to draw against Real Madrid in a week that arguably they'd be forgiven for not having their mind on the football.
Yeah, and it could have been more than the draw. They conceded that equaliser right at the end to Antonio Rudiger, and in other contexts, you would say that it was heartbreaking to concede that late equaliser. But actually, in the context of where they are, it's just an equaliser in just a football match. Talked to some of the players afterwards. I was there in Warsaw on Tuesday night to see Shakhtar give, and this is sometimes an overused epithet, a heroic performance, a genuinely heroic performance. They were terrific. Those players had spent a lot of the day before the game, the Monday, just absorbing news from back in Ukraine about some of the attacks on Kiev, causing a lot of fatalities in a city which they've been based for many years since leaving Donetsk, in a hotel and a training camp that's the property of their owner, Rina Akhmetov. So a lot of them very familiar with that, and of course have friends and family back in a lot of the affected cities, trying to get reports on those friends and family. It's no sort of preparation for anything, let alone a Champions League football match. And Lassina Traore, one of the few overseas players who's still there, the Burkinabe from Ajax before, of course, he said to me afterwards, he said, look, I can't lie, it was a really awful day yesterday. It was a really, really bad day. And he said it's about trying to support the players who are affected by that. And I think sometimes we can be a bit trite and say players are inspired to do it for Ukraine and stuff like that. I think with a lot of what's going on, just to be able to put all that away for 90 minutes and just concentrate on what's on the pitch, it's in a very small way some sort of relief. But it was by far their best performance in the Champions League so far this season, in which they've done pretty well against the odds. And I don't think many people out there would have said they didn't deserve to win.
What's it like though when you're there in Poland, in Warsaw, a long way away from Kiev, let alone from Donetsk?
Yeah.
When you're there, how do they feel about their adopted home ground, as it were, and how do supporters there feel about them?
Well, there's this really special relationship, Don, between Ukraine and Poland, as we know, and to sort of say thanks for the unconditional support. There was this great, and to show the union between the two countries, there was this great choreo before kickoff with all the fans holding up sort of coloured pieces of card to show the Ukrainian and Polish flags next to each other, which was quite touching. You get chants from the crowd of Slava Ukraini, glory to Ukraine. And what I found actually, that there was a bit of feeling each other out in the first game against Celtic, because it was out there for that as well. And I mean, there's obviously an enormous amount of goodwill towards Shakhtar and Ukraine in general. And I think there's a sense of gratitude that they've brought Champions League football to the city, where David was saying to me earlier, obviously Polish domestic football's not in the best place at the moment. But I think it's interesting that it felt that this performance really inspired the fans, because of course you can have goodwill, you can have empathy, but it's not the same as supporting a team from your place. Football is about place. It's about community, isn't it? And that's why everything that Shakhtar have done since they've been exiled over the last 8 years is extraordinary, really. The winning trophies and getting into Europe, getting to a couple of Europa League semi-finals, beating Real Madrid a couple of times, of course, although this would have been a bigger result than either of the wins under Luis Castro when they were still in Kiev, of course. But I think this time, you had more sort of vocal support behind them. It feels like the city is adopting the team a little bit, and you had chants of Shakhtar and real encouragement this time rather than gentle encouragement. There was a little bit more. They're growing together.